Big exciting news as you start your evening on a Tuesday night. The Dodgers are on. And certainly am I as well. Hopefully you chose wisely. But big news as your stimulus goes to the battleground and the battleground states. Several swing states are still in play. The president's trying to break the ground, catch up against Biden, and win those swing states. And the swing states are important not just for the president, but Mitch McConnell. As a lot of polls now indicate, they simply just don't know where they are. They simply don't know who's leading among the Democrats, the Republicans, and the Senate. They don't know what's going on with the president and Biden in those swing states. Too close to call. Ultimately, this is great for your stimulus because guess what? We have a lot to call. More stimulus, more relief, bigger stimulus checks, MSC, more hazard pay, and more FPUC. This is a great night of Evenings LALATE. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm here, you're here, and your cat, your dog, your alpaca, and your ferret. Yeah, I do have a ferret watching this channel. And even a dragon. I do have a dragon. So I appreciate all your cats and dogs and pictures that you've been sending me on Twitter and DM and Instagram. Adore them. Really, really adorable. Every now and then there's a cat that looks exactly like my former cat. So I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Hope you are great in a great night with great exciting news across the board for your second stimulus check and stimulus package, and focus on the third stimulus check and third stimulus package. Oh yeah, that's coming up. We're not going to forget about that. And then the first stimulus package, a lot of you trying to get those grants, those loans, and trying to get that hazard pay that stems back into the first stimulus package. Go to the Funds channel, subscribe, because no one's keeping you more up to date on a daily basis than I am. 5 hours of programming per day, starts early mornings LALATE and goes all the way to evenings LALATE. Also, like the video. It's helping in the algorithm. You're helping getting these videos higher in the algorithm, which is really beating up a lot of people. But today we have a couple of videos ranking number 1, number 3, or number 5. So it's really helping. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In this video, I'll be going over a lot of stuff. First, I will be going over this strange twist of events in the Senate. Third, the president and his push to get stimulus by executive order. Fourth, next, Georgia, why Georgia could determine your stimulus. Additionally, I will be going over incredible great news on why the president's focusing on the Wall Street moves and twists and turns, and that ultimately that might help you get your stimulus, such as Caterpillar and Boeing reporting bad numbers in the last 24 hours. Next, new lockdowns across the country coming, and in promising news, though, from Merck and from Pfizer that could absolutely give you the COVID-19 relief that we need so desperately. And finally, the issue of contested elections, which absolutely could throw your stimulus checks into just, Benihana, chop, 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 Benihana sauteed dish, and it's gonna look really crazy. Let's start with that. That's the breaking news. The breaking news tonight is that Wall Street's worried about a contested election. I'm worried about a contested election. And your stimulus checks could be held up by a contested election. What's this all about, LALATE? Well, a contested election means that the loser contests the results and says, you know what, there's something screwy. I just don't believe what happened. And to contest it, it goes to court, and then it goes up in the courts, and it goes to the Supreme Court. Now, ironically, when we were talking initially about contested elections, we were worried about the presidency's contested elections, potentially Donald Trump contesting the election if Biden wins, or Biden contesting if Trump wins. Now there's a big concern that the Senate races may be contested. Everyone's having big questions about everyone else. And this causes problems for your stimulus because ultimately, who will pass the bill? Who will sign the law? Imagine if the president is announced as non-victorious on election night and then contested the next day. And then he wants to push to do what? executive order for stimulus checks or wants to sign a bill that coming from Nancy in the Senate that rolled over suddenly and gave everything over and agreed to everything. Really problematic, because how can a contested person sign something after Inauguration Day? Now, what's important to understand is this, I certainly corrected myself right there. You can see, catch that little slip, is that the president remains your president all the way up until when Inauguration Day would be. And your senators remain your senators all the way up until when Inauguration be. But if the contested issue continues past Inauguration Day, Lord, that is something we just do not want to see. So ultimately, could a contested event cause people to rush to give you stimulus? That's one theory we're discussing tonight for the very first time on this channel. If the president loses by most reported accounts on election night for the Electoral College and contests the election the next day, would he rush to do executive orders to win over the popularity of the American people and to sort of, placate us as he rushes to court and contests an election over the next couple of weeks? Maybe. Would the Senate Republicans do much the same and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we'll give you some stimulus to keep you quiet as we go to court and battle this over a couple of months? Maybe that as well. Ultimately, it's a strange question. The other strange question we sit here tonight is what's going to happen with the Senate? You've been seeing me report it all day long, and I'll probably report it tomorrow. No one knows what's going to happen in the Senate. It is literally too hard to predict at the moment. If you pull all the different news reports, you don't know what's going to happen in these swing states. And then ultimately, it can absolutely cause a lot of confusion on your stimulus. It could be great news. It could be bad news. It could be really good news. Or it could be just you don't really know news. Ultimately, it would absolutely not be an event that Nancy Pelosi prepared for, because what she's preparing for is one event, that the Democrats take the Senate. Guess what happens if they don't? It's not what Nancy Pelosi's plan is. It's sort of like going to a hairdresser and saying, I want a hairstyle that looks really good like Bo Derek, and you come out looking like Nancy Pelosi. It's just not what you prepared for, and that's ultimately what could happen on election night. Now, Georgia's on my mind. It's probably on your mind too, because Georgia could ultimately determine your stimulus. I don't mean the woman. I don't mean the song. I don't mean Georgia Sweet Brown. Georgia, no. What I mean is the state of Georgia. There are now calls that says the race in Georgia is too close to call, and that ultimately that might be the swing state that determines the balance of power in the Senate. Boy, if you see nail biter, I hope you have some nails by the end of Tuesday night. What's important to understand is that the push of the purple power is still underway, and still should be underway, for your multiple stimulus checks by executive order. Minutes before recording this video, I saw on the McConnell video a longtime viewer who had a great comment and question, which I've seen quite a bit. Let me answer that question because it's about tonight's video. The viewer said, why doesn't the president take that $500 billion that's sitting around from CARES Act 1 and repurpose for stimulus checks? Is it because Nancy doesn't want to do it? Is it because he doesn't want to do it? Here's the answer, and this is what I told her in the comments, is that the president has actually tweeted several times, Nancy, let me repurpose that $500 billion of CARES Act 1 money. Now, he hasn't said it's 500, he says it's 335, but it doesn't matter what the number is he has several times tweeted Nancy Pelosi, let me send out that money by executive order right now. Or he said, let me have you send it out for the American people right now. It's just sitting around. Moreover, Steve Mnuchin, several weeks ago in that big letter, which you always hear me talk about on this channel with the letterhead that Mark Meadows co-signed, they also talk about the money. And they say, there's money sitting around, Congress should let us repurpose it. Now, here's the big rub that viewer's clearly trying to tee into, but didn't go all the way, and let me answer it for her, which is the following. There is a 2.2 offer from Nancy Pelosi and a $1.9 trillion offer from Steve Mnuchin. Why don't they just separate the spread with the $500 billion? Why not use the $500 billion to cover the spread between the two people? They don't want to do that either. It's really not clear what's going on. What is going on is that you owe multiple stimulus checks. You owe multiple stimulus checks because you were on lockdown. You were on lockdown in the month of March, April, May. You got one stimulus check. One. Can you imagine? Just one. And you owe multiple stimulus checks for April, May. Now, if you're an adult dependent on SSI or SSI or Social Security, you didn't get that stimulus check for the month of May. So what's important to understand is, for the month of March. So what's important to understand is you didn't even get a single stimulus check. You either got one of three or zero of three. Now, 6 months later, how many checks have you gotten since then? Let me check. Zero. Ridiculous. So as we go into the end of October, we're approaching Halloween. Do you think there'll be trick or treat? Do you think there'll be a treat? Or do you think it'll be a trick? Do you think they're going to give you another stimulus check to cover 6 months? Correct myself. Do you think they'll give you 6 months of stimulus checks to cover you for 6 months? No. Do you think they'll give you one stimulus check to cover the last 6 months? No. What I think the trick will be is they're going to give you one stimulus check to not cover only the last 6 months, but the 6 months going to the future. I think that's their trick. I think Congress is up to a trick to not pay you for the last lockdown, not to pay you since the last lockdown, not to pay you for now, and to say, here's one stimulus check to cover all that and to cover you the next lockdown that's coming. And there's lockdowns coming. New reports across the country talk about these major lockdowns are literally just imploding all across the country. And this is amid concerns that the situation could get very bad very quickly. The number of COVID-19 cases are out of control, 83,000 per day, the highest ever reported since the pandemic started. That was on Friday and Saturday last weekend. Then you have the 6-day running average is at record high. That concern is kicking in as well. The problem is that no one is really financially addressing the future lockdowns. One analyst tells CNBC overnight, I think it's a gut check around here. The most important thing is how to deal with the virus. With the increase of cases in the United States and Europe, it's just reminding everyone the virus is still very much with us, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. And with the weather getting colder and people moving inside, it's likely to get worse before it gets better. I think it's unlikely to be the beginning of a major sell-off. I still think underlying fundamentals for companies are quite good. If you look at earnings seasons, it's been pretty promising. I disagree. I just disagree right now. You have seen in the last 48 hours that the high tech, the non-tech companies, the blue chip companies like Boeing, like Caterpillar, came in bad earnings reports. Anything that is not pandemic friendly-ish or tied to the pandemic is hurting. So Amazon, Walmart, Target doing really well. Overnight, companies like the company that puts out the Sea-Doo, where you go on the lakes, the company that puts out Harley Davidson, all those type of outdoor activities doing really well. But anything that is core of S&P of the country hurting. And ultimately, the president looks at the stock market, and you think he would see the stock market and understand, I need to send out stimulus relief. Big manufacturing giants the president is always focused on are not doing well. They're struggling. Is the president waking up? 3M, Caterpillar, and Boeing were all down sharply on yesterday. They were down 1% and then 1.75%. This is amid evidence that other industries like Zoom or Amazon are up severely because they're benefiting from the pandemic. What's important to understand is that the virus is not equally dispersing the benefits of this economy. And that's why people are worried if the president is really in touch with where stimulus is going. What's important to understand is that these downturns of the economy will continue to occur until you have stimulus. This is the second stimulus package. What's happening shortly after this will be the third stimulus package. And why I bring this up so often lately on this channel is because there's going to be another wave that's going to cause lockdowns. You're going to need stimulus checks for the lockdowns. And then ultimately, the cheap people in Washington will say, hey, we just gave you a stimulus check. And you're going to be like, no, 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 I'm part of the purple power. That was that was the stimulus check that covers us from April to October. You did not pay us a stimulus check for the month of December yet. So, and if you want us to be on lockdown, you need to start paying us a stimulus check. And that double whammy is coming around the corner. That's what the stock market is very worried about. Not just that there will be a second pandemic, not just that there will be another wave of virus related issues, but that there is no stimulus to provide money to the American people and the American worker as a lockdown and a second wave comes. And hopefully, somewhere, that wake-up call will happen right away. Let's go over some of your great, incredible comments from last night. Wake up, Yadin, Andrew Jackson. It's been regretted to the rich and powerful too often behind the acts of the government to their selfish purpose. Amen. Carolyn, we need stimulus now, not after the elections. Brenda, don't be a Nancy. President Trump needs our general stimulus checks now. Sharon, why is Trump so shy lately about doing EOs? He signed so many when he became president in 2016. Get the urge back, President, sign the EOs. I did that as a video very recently. He was signing about 5 a month. And this month and last month, like almost none. It's really, I just don't know what's going on with him. Tiffany, it's really sickening that we can't get our money. We need help. Come on, guys. Paul, everyone in the White House should be ashamed of themselves. Dana, Nancy will negotiate with her hairdresser because the only person that will gossip with her about how she let down Americans. Oh my goodness. Carolyn, President Trump needs to do executive orders. We need help now. You do. Patricia, Pelosi needs to face reality. And take Trump's 1.9 deal and to get it done. And I've detailed that in a lot of videos, that ultimately, if the president loses, then and the Senate is won by the Republicans again, guess what? There won't be a $1.9 trillion offer. It will go poof. The offer will be pulled back and it'll be much smaller. Bones, we need a lot more money. Linda, our country's a laughing stock. Paul Peters, if I was 85 years old, homeless, eating cat food, sick and wandering the streets, they wouldn't even care. Purple power, you're my heroes. Well, I love that, Paul Peterson. Wonderful comment. Tom's video. No one can wait to after the damn elections. Miranda, it's like, let's pay forward our bills to Pelosi. Amen. John Smith, hey everybody, invite everyone to Nancy's house and camp out and have campfire food. Column Weinsart. Oh my God, I'm one of the Purple Power OGs. Let's stay strong. I love that. I love when my OGs come back in. Coming up next is Purple Power. A continuation of this is more. You see, this is a jam-packed day with a lot of news. Just news all over the place. So stay with me for more. And coming up tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is Early Mornings LALATE. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and go to the front channel and subscribe. I almost forgot to include that. Go to the front channel and subscribe because nobody keeps you better informed than this channel. And don't miss a video. Also, like this video. And with that, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay in that life for more.